Well, one of the things, another note is in thinking and realizing what you really do not know, you'll be amazed at what you come up with that you really don't know. But it takes a real open-hearted person to really look within themselves and acknowledge things who they are, you know? Because many times when you do that looking within, you may find things, if you're honest, they're not pretty, but that does not mean that they're not true. And I think if they are ugly enough and they are hampering your progress, you do something about them. You change them. Or you might decide, hey, it's ugly, but it's me, and I'm going to live with it. And if it means it's hampering my growth, then I don't grow. That's a possibility too. And if that works for you, that's okay. That's okay, as long as you know that. And I think, because there's many things that, that is me, and I'm going to stand by those things because it's what I believe. It's who I am, and I'm okay with that. And then the other party, somebody's going to look at it and they're going to say that's crazy and blah blah. I don't care. It's how I feel, and that's the way I feel. And like one of the subjects I had not approached, but it just kind of kept coming back to me, so I thought maybe I should. And that was, the subject of abortion. I stay away from that because you never know who you're talking to, and I don't want to say something that's going to hurt someone's feelings or make them feel more guilty in case they have felt the need at some point to have an abortion. Um, I can't speak. I feel I've thought about it a lot because I've been hearing a lot about it lately, and my point of view is if someone asked me, I would tell them, I would say, unless you really have to, don't. And I would say that only because I remember, and I go back to high school, a couple of people I knew that had abortions. I didn't keep up with them as they got older, but they never seems to recover from that. One or two was never able to have children, and they just always seem so sad. And if I would say anything to them, I would say, I go back to the Bible, and everything is in the Bible, and it is there to give us peace and a way out of everything. I have problems with the part that you could just seem to do anything, and then if you ask God to forgive you before you take your last breath, you'll get into heaven. Well, I'm sure preachers got a lot to say about that. I'm not a preacher. That's just kind of strange to me. But anyway, it's there, and it's there for a reason. And it's there because once something is done, it's done. You cannot go back and undo it. It is done. And if you learn something from it, then maybe you try to transfer what you have learned to someone else with hopes of, having them be more educated on what they're about to do. And the other side of that is sometimes that's not going to make any difference because once you want to do something and you think a certain way, you're going to do it anyway. But if it makes you feel better, then you can, do that. But back to the Bible issue, I say, you know what? God says you can be forgiven. You did the best you knew to do at that time. So what else can you say? What else can you do? And that was true. If you would have known maybe what you know now, obviously you would not. Maybe you would not have. I don't know. But that's kind of how I leave things. And somebody might say, well, that's copping out. But it's true. You don't know. And then there's the real dark side of that. As I say, once you think, you will be surprised at the things that come to your mind. Because one time I was going through that, and there was something that sometimes when things happen and they're just so mean and they're just so evil, like the killing of the kids in Connecticut by this young man, and then the explosion in what was that, Vegas, and then just bad, crazy stuff that happens around the world by a select individual. And I wonder, was that person born that way, or was it something that happened to that person after they were born to make them that way? Because then you want to think, well, you know what? The person who committed that crime, if they would have been flushed down the toilet, that 30-some kids may still be alive. Now, that's not a pretty thought at all, but I don't know. That's one of those things when you think about stuff and you go like, wow, I really don't know. So I don't know that I can have any opinion about that because I just don't know. And that's what I mean. The more you explore your heart and yourself and what you think, you realize the number of things that you just don't know. To be continued.